I'd like to change direction and move to roots as the next growth stage. I really liked how you describe roots as strength, endurance, and understanding. Very powerful words. Why did you choose these three words?
Strength, endurance. There's some of the words that, well, I'll give you an example. When you're working out and you're lifting a weight, what's the first thing that starts to go? First, it's a proof of strength, and then it's a breaking down of your muscles. It's a breaking down of your strength. When you're running long distance, first it's the proof of your endurance, and then it starts to break down and there's no more endurance. So what keeps that going? Maybe it's your will, or maybe it's that cheer that helps you to remember your will again, to revitalize your strength, to revitalize your endurance. The idea of roots is to be networked and interconnected with the people around you who are working on their own faith story and their own faith journey. And that inspires and empowers that endurance and that strength again. Before I joined the military, I was a guy who really struggled to wake up in the morning. But somehow being in that environment when everybody else was waking up at 04 in the morning, I could do it. But as soon as I got home, away from that environment, I was sleeping in again. Slowly but surely, I creeped back into 7, 8, 9 o'clock. It wasn't my own strength. It wasn't my own ability. But as I was connected to others on the same vision and mission and passion and dreams and saying, we're going to do this, that connection, that interconnection, that weaving of our roots allowed me to grow and get to another place where I could call those things my own. Now I get up when I want to. I say I'm getting up at 04, I will be up at 04 and I'll be ready to go. But back then, that was not who I was. I needed the space and the things around me to help me have that strength and endurance that I didn't have for my own. That balance, that we'll say even frequency, if you will, of everybody else kind of humming to this beat made me say, I want to be a part of this. And so now I was harmonizing with the balance and the beats around me and participating. And so even though I couldn't carry the tune on my own, maybe my voice is cracking in certain moments, somebody else is still carrying the beat. Someone else is still playing that music and that chorus. And it's doing something that I couldn't do singing in the shower by myself, so to speak. It's that chorus. So that's why I brought those particular words up.
Tim, I'd like to talk to you about motivational factors. It takes a lot to get out of situations like you described. Talk to us about head and heart.
I was listening to, I want to say his name is Greg Braden. I could be wrong, but I'm going to say that for right now. And he talks about heart-mind cohesion. And it was this idea that when your heart and mind aren't fighting each other, they're on the same page, that's really what prayer is. That's really what is the moment that inspires miracles, which he understands as a technology. When I talk about heart-mind, it's this identity that where those places cross, that intersection is where our spirit lives. And the spirit is its own thing, but we can't capture it until our heart and mind are aligned. So often we say, oh, my heart says this, my mind says this, my body wants this, but My heart says this way. How do I feel about this person? The way that we interact with relationships, we create a duality between our heart and mind. And when I think about my own life, I've been the most powerful when there's no quarrel inside of me. In other words, I'm spending less time punching myself and fighting towards my goal. I'm no longer looking at myself, and I'm looking at the road ahead of me. When your heart and mind are aligned, you're not spending half of your day looking through the rearview mirror and expecting to know where you're going. You get to drive. And that's when those more aha moments start to take place, because you get to see the road ahead of you. And then you get to choose what to do with it.
Choice matters. I'd like to hear your thoughts about empathy and compassion.
I pause because of how important empathy and compassion are. I share a story on compassion in the book, and I explain my thought processes on the differences between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. To summarize, sympathy is recognizing that someone else is in pain. Empathizing is, I feel your pain. Compassion is experiencing that pain with that person, suffering with it. And I talk about the definition of compassion and its relationship to the word suffering. We talk about passion, or the compassion of Christ. What does it mean that God is suffering with us at some of the heartaches of our moments? We talked about that question when I said, is God going to save me? What if God was having compassion or suffering with me in those moments? Recognizing the pain that I was experiencing. What does it mean when someone's willing to come alongside you when there's no solution, and willing to get on a boat even if there's a hole in that boat? Even if there is no chance of rescue, and saying, I'll fight the storm with you. Compassion. And again, in that moment of unknowing and being okay with not knowing what's going to happen, in the midst of certain fate, or in the midst of defeat, and releasing that fear of defeat, or releasing that outcome, we are now, aware or unaware, inviting God, inviting faith to believe in something, even if we don't know if it could happen. We're inviting God in that space.